Sometimes later, the two special investigators walk through the demonic dragon courtyard. Daryong expresses that Muguk is quite different from the rumors he has heard about him. He apologetically explains that there are some rumors that say Muguk isn't suited to become the heavenly demon. Muguk simply smiles, taking the rumors as a kind of compliment. To Muguk, being suited to become the heavenly demon isn't really praised because of the cult right now. He doesn't think it's ruled by terror. He also adds that it's about time for it to be changed. The cult must change, if not, what awaits him would be the extermination of his family and the end of the cult. The next day, Muguk is welcomed by an officer in panic, explaining there is trouble and asking him to take a look right away. That instant, they run through the corridor to the court. Muguk is surprised to see a group of the army blocking the way and officers lying on the floor beaten within an inch of his life. Daryong also got hurt in the fight, as he admits that he is fine and shows his colleague has been severely injured. Taking a look at it, Muguk notices the broken rib and tells the others to bring him to the infirmary. So the other quickly brings him out to get treatment, while the first corps is still in the way of the corridor. Right after, Muguk asks whether Guanyang is the one who did it. Without blinking an eye, he simply admits that he is. Further questioning him, Muguk asks the reason for harming an investigator of the Nirvana Pavilion. The brute claims the investigator bumped into his shoulder in the corridor and walked away without apologizing and simply taught him a lesson for that. Muguk is sure Guanyang is the one who bumped into him, and he wouldn't have let him go even if he did apologize. Guanyang then laughs, signifying he agrees. Looking him dead in the eye, Muguk claims he is a poison to the cult. He then states all the crimes he has done, from killing the member of the cult in this manner as well. In addition, 2 years ago, Guanyang also killed 3 members after getting into a fight with them at a bar. Guanyang simply claims there are too many retards that don't revere the demonic army in the world. Muguk then asks whether Guanyang knows that Muguk right now possesses the authority to decide an execution. Muguk knows all of Guanyang's opponents were low-ranked martial artists. Before things blew out of proportion, the demonic army covered it all up for him. Guanyang answers the questions with his own, wondering what the young master, as the investigator, capable of doing here. That is why he is such a poison he was talking about. Fools would act that way when they are conscious of how others around them perceive them. This ought to have been a situation where he would be nervous, but instead, he is acting tough in front of his subordinates. His head is too far up in his own ass, and got no idea what kind of stage he is standing on. Muguk takes his steps toward him, and subordinates immediately move forward. Guanyang provokes, saying that messing with him means messing with the demonic army. So Muguk insults back, saying at the very least, he doesn't hide behind his subordinates. Guanyang shamelessly claims he is injured because of a certain coward. In return, Muguk pleads to not use his right hand. Guanyang's shamelessness knows no bounds, asking whether Muguk would tattle to the cult leader after getting injured here. Muguk claims he won't hold him responsible even if he dies here. He swears upon that. Daryong can only wonder what he is trying to do, while a vicious smile appears on the brute's face. That instant, Guanyang takes up his sword, going to fight with the young master. On the other hand, Daryong sends a sound transmission, saying Guanyang is ambidextrous and can use a sword with his left hand as proficiently as he can with his right hand. That is why he acts so confidently, but Muguk isn't afraid of him. He shows a calm demeanor, holding his sword in his left hand while putting his right hand on his back, even with the tension rising. Guanyang swings his sword down toward him, and Muguk simply steps aside to dodge it. The strike makes contact with the floor, breaks it, and unfortunately only grazes Daryong in its way. Guanyang keeps striking Muguk, but he easily dodges the incoming attack without even breaking a sweat. Having enough of it, Muguk spins the sword in his hand. With a single swift motion, he strikes his sword upward and cleanly cut the hand of the First Corps commander. Guanyang can only scream in pain, losing his hand in such a manner before Muguk broke his nose with the hilt of his sword to silence him. His subordinates are mad, hurriedly unsheathe their sword, and together they going to strike Muguk. Daryong is worried for him, as they are coming in to protect their commander. Before they could do anything, Muguk already finished slitting a few of their throat. Daryong is surprised to see it, while the others stop at their track. Right after, Muguk states the crimes of those who just died are treason, while Go Dang begs for his life, pitifully crawling on the ground. Muguk asks whether Go Dang knows the families of the people he killed in the bar fight. Muguk doubted it since he acted like he didn't care. They lost their father, son, and husband, and from that moment on, they won't be able to live a normal life. Only when it comes to this, Go Dang admit he was in the wrong. But Muguk has enough of it and crushes him as his execution. The other member of the Corps and Daryong can only silently watch as their commander gets executed. On the other hand, Muguk asks who he thinks he is to dare to kill the cult members. Before long, Muguk sits down with the demonic army commander, Guanyang, accompanied by music and dances. As Muguk expected, this trash of a commander blames Go Dang, someone who served him, making him out to be a criminal. Guanyang claims he put himself in a tough spot after he killed one of the demonic army commanders during the investigation and pushed him to close the investigation altogether. So, Muguk agrees with him, because he also wants to end things on a good note, but without evidence it will be a problem. He came here for an investigation, but at this point, he has nothing to report to his father or his superiors. Muguk mentioned the letter that was sent and said the external requests were accepted for money, so he can't make up any evidence. In order to close this investigation, evidence is required, signifying Guanyang must hand over his own fabricated evidence to close off this investigation. Sometimes later, Daryong wonders why the young master comes to the infirmary. He comes to see the person who got injured. Daryong thanks his young master for bringing the demonic physician for the mere investigator. Muguk claims that goes without saying, even though it's temporary, they are colleagues that have been working together. Before long, the demonic physician comes out looking for Muguk. He is known to be the most skilled physician in the cult. He doesn't simply treat anyone, and only gives treatment to important people within the cult. He explains the officer's life is not in any danger, but has to recuperate for a while before he can go back to work. Muguk pleads that he got injured while being faithful doing the cult's work, and asks them to use the best medicine. On the other hand, the officers make faces signifying they are extremely grateful for their young master's kindness. Right after, Muguk goes back. He reveals to Daryong that Guanyang wants them to end the investigation and says the First Corps commander is the main perpetrator. Daryong assumes that Go Dang is the most important subordinate he has, but Muguk knows better. Go Dang wasn't the most important, but who made use of the most, and someone else will soon fill that spot again. It's all a bait. All they had to do now was to wait for them to bite. With that in mind, he asked Daryong to have a drink with him. Showing life for the first time so far, Daryong smiles, offering the drinks to him. On the next day, the Dragon Court submitted various books containing the assassination request logs and banknote papers that are worth thousands of niangs, claimed to be discovered in the First Corps commander's house. Muguk smiles, knowing Guanyang took the bait. He doesn't even read these books and asks Daryong to look for the smartest person in the First Corps, because Muguk assumes that person is the one who made these books. On the other hand, Muguk will meet with the demonic army commander again to buy time. Before long, Muguk claims to have received the evidence found in the First Corps commander's house. Guanyang is happy, and now that it comes to this, he wants them to drink some more at the previous place. Before that, Muguk claims there is a problem because the evidence came from the demonic army. They are supposed to find those pieces of evidence themselves. Guanyang claims that is not important, but Muguk is adamant the chief advisor is no fool. If he finds out that the evidence came from the demonic army, then he will be suspicious of the investigation process and its results. With that in mind, Muguk thinks they need to act like they are investigating for a little while. They will do a large-scale investigation just for one day and hope the commander to cooperate. Muguk says he doesn't want to investigate, claims to doing it as formality, and he needs some common official documents. In the end, Guanyang agrees and promises to tell his subordinates to cooperate with him. What Muguk needs aren't the top-secret documents anyway. What he is looking for are the first few documents that were used to hire the demonic army and the wills that were left behind by those who went on dangerous missions. This is needed so Muguk can look at the handwriting and figure out who wrote the records in the request logs. Before long, Muguk speaks with Yonggu, the one he assumes who forged the assassination request logs that were sent to the investigator. Yong-gu denies the allegation, but Muguk already knows this person probably doesn't know anything, so he wants Yong-gu to just be honest. Yong-gu still claims ignorant, having never received any orders from the commander. Muguk understands why he is acting like this, and assumes he is probably scared that the demonic army commander might kill him. Since he doesn't want to say anything, Muguk simply tells him to go back. Since he doesn't intend to answer his questions, it can't be helped, and claims Muguk doesn't like torturing someone who was just a faithful subordinate who had no choice but to follow orders. That being said, while the investigator will get back to leave this place safely, the demonic army commander will kill him eventually. Guanyang has probably heard about the investigator capturing Yong-gu already, so he might think he gives off the impression he might have given out information. Horror descends on Yong-gu's face with the possibility of Guanyang suspecting him as turned because he knows better than anyone else what the commander does for someone like Yong-gu. Based on the guess of Hang Ho, the one who ordered the killing of the Nirvana Pavilion investigator and Jang Ho's peer. The person who executed those would be Go Dang, who is already dead. There were also other numerous atrocious deeds that were committed. Muguk intently listens as Daryong reveals they have killed a lot of people, but the demonic army commander won't just let himself be arrested. Muguk says he will not arrest him, and confuses Daryong with what the young master is trying to do. Muguk already decides to execute the demonic army commander. Daryong jumps in surprise. Muguk knows well, if the demonic army commander, Guanyang, is arrested, then the Blood Heaven Sword Demon will also make his move. There is no way he will watch his own brother get executed after all. If that happens, then the situation will become far too complicated. There will also be plenty of forged evidence to show that no one had ordered Go Dang to commit those crimes. All those crimes will be pinned on his scapegoat, and then there will be a lot of slandering and scheming in regard to him. Even Jang Ho, who sent the letter, will eventually die, and all the Third Corps warriors that will try to protect him will also be killed. Daryong will also be included in that kill list. Only if the demonic army commander dies in the process of being arrested, then the situation would be different. The only thing to do would be to prove his crimes. Not everyone will seek revenge when their family member dies, especially for the Blood Heaven Sword Demon. He is not one to waste his life over revenge. Muguk suddenly goes off, going to kill the demonic army commander, Guanyang. Before long, Muguk, sitting across Guanyang, expresses his heart feels lightened with the conclusion of the investigation. Muguk mentions his succession and asks for his support, and in return, Guanyang promises to not forget the goodwill he has shown. Muguk smiles, and he agrees that he will now forget this incident. Guanyang, who is so greedy, made such a huge loss, and would not forget this. Muguk puts the jar up. He offers a toast for the end of this investigation. As he pours the drink, he asks why did he do it? Muguk states that Guanyang should have enough money to use until he dies of old age. So Muguk wonders why he is so greedy to even make use of the demonic army to take in requests for money. Guanyang denies such an allegation and tells Muguk to ask the First Corps commander that question. In return, Muguk expresses how would a puppet know anything? Muguk provokes him some more, saying there is nothing in the pitch darkness that is within him. It must be filled with only greed that will never cease to want more. Guanyang breaks the glass in his hand, asking whether Muguk is going crazy as his mind is filled with bloodlust. Muguk remains calm as he takes up his glass. Suddenly, Guanyang breaks the table with merely his inner energy, screaming he has enough of his nonsense. Muguk simply lets him throw a tantrum as he sips his drink. Before he knows it, there is already a sword that goes through his chest. Muguk uses soaring sword art, the fifth technique, Heavenly Strike, to deal a decisive strike to Guanyang, while Muguk finishes his drink. The moment he is done, Muguk states that Guanyang, the demonic army commander, is under arrest for the charge of misusing the demonic army for his own personal reasons and over 20 murders, or the instigation of those murders. Guanyang can only plead that this is not an arrest, but an execution as blood drools from the tip of the sword. Muguk smiles at such a plea, saying he is going to be executed anyway, and tells him to leave this world for the sake of those who will live on. With eyes absent of emotions, Muguk pulls out the sword. What's left of Guanyang is a mere second to throw up blood, and take his last breath. Before long, the members of the army gather in the office along with the officers. Muguk loudly states the demonic army commander has died in the process of resisting arrest for the grievous crimes he committed. He orders Daryong to arrest all members of the First Corps and imprison them, adding they will be investigating this matter officially. He commands the Third Corps commander, Jang Ho, all those under his charge excluding any First Corps members are investigators to arrest the First Corps. Muguk receives the authority to take full charge of this matter, so his order is equal to that of the cult leader's orders. Everyone is to execute the order immediately. In the end, Muguk feels hopeful about the upcoming fate of the demonic cult with these people. Right after giving his orders to each of those deserving, Muguk goes back to the demonic cult's castle where his father takes care of his official's business. Muguk alone walks through the empty hall, going to answer for his conclusion to his father, accompanied by Sima Myung and the Blood Heaven's sword demon. Muguk meets the eye of the brother of the person he just executed to death with the conviction of the truth. Muguk bows to his father before he greets the Blood Heaven's sword demon, feeling good to see him again. This cursed old man comes to the heavenly demon and wants the second young master to explain whatever is really going on in the matter. Muguk simply states that everything is written in the report, telling the old man to just simply read it. Apparently, the old man wants to hear it personally from the young master, and seeing his father and Sima Myung silent signifies the cursed old man has their blessing to ask such question. Muguk explains that based on the investigation, they found that this cursed old man's brother had committed grievous crimes. He then tries to kill him in the process of being arrested, before Muguk apologizes to him. The cursed old man claims to be fine if his brother committed a crime, then he ought to be punished. But there is something he doesn't understand. He knows well his brother might be pathetic, but this cursed old man believes his brother is not so foolish as to attack him in a situation where his crimes have been exposed. Muguk knows if Guanyang is caught, he probably asked the Blood Heaven's sword demon for help. He probably knew that he killed the demonic army commander and was trying to nip the problem in the bud. In the end, Muguk claims he has no idea why Guanyang did it. He can only guess he simply couldn't accept the fact that he was caught by someone who is much younger. The Blood Heaven's sword demon apparently saw his corpse before he came here, and sees that his brother seemed to be stabbed in his chest with a single strike. To think Muguk could kill his brother in just one strike, Muguk's martial prowess is extremely exceptional. Muguk decides to claim that it is thanks to his father. While Guanyang was in an agitated state, he wasn't able to use his full strength against him. In the end, the Blood Heaven sword demon thanks Muguk for telling him the truth, while Muguk lowers his gaze, saying he is sorry for his loss. He is also a bit surprised that the Blood Heaven's sword demon can remain calm, while Muguk thoughts his anger should have hit its limit. He then turns to the heavenly demon to signify that his business is done. Chanhua tells him to make funeral preparations and rest now. The Blood Heaven's sword demon thanks the cult leader as he bows down to him. Muguk thoughts the Blood Heaven's sword demon wants to tell Chanhua that he has gone too far and asked whether he had to deal with this incident in this manner. With the three people left, Sima Myung praises Muguk, saying the evidence he has gathered is robust, and this incident has been able to come to a close without any issues. He asks further whether he is hurt anywhere at all. Muguk claims that he is not, as he thanks the chief advisor for worrying. Right after another person comes in with a box in hand, Sima Myung says this is the cult leader's reward for Muguk's hard work. Looking at it, this second young master knows this excellent sword. Sima Myung speaks again, that the cult leader has bestowed the black demonic sword onto him. This sword, one of the treasure swords alongside the white demonic sword, before Muguk tells his father to give him the white one instead, since it suits his aloof personality more. Chanhua sternly states the black demonic sword is what suits him, as Muguk unsheathes it and expresses that it seems his father knows too little of him. Muguk is appalled to see the sword unleash such an amount of cold energy, even though he hasn't even infused any energy into it. On the other hand, Sima Myung is also surprised to see the cult leader feeling proud of himself as he sees the second young master acting happy. Muguk expresses the reward is too great as he sheaths his sword, But Sima Myung explains the problem with the demonic army commander was the most dire problem within the cult. He also wants the cult leader to chip in. So Chanhwa thought he would be lucky to just survive while acting up. But Muguk knows it better. His father sent him there because his father believed in him. Chanhwa knew Muguk had mastered the soaring sword art. He also knew that Muguk had consumed the demonic essence pill and believed that he wouldn't be killed that easily. Although he probably didn't expect the demonic army commander to die. Muguk also knows why his father gave him this exceptional sword. Chanhwa is giving a statement to the Blood Heaven Sword Demon, saying while he acknowledges what he has done for the cult, he doesn't want Blood Heaven Sword Demon to besmirch his son over this incident. So Muguk thanks his father for giving him the sword, and for what it means, surprising Chanhwa a bit. With the business concluded, Chanhwa allowed his son to leave. Going out of the pavilion, Muguk is welcomed by the cursed old man, asking him to take a short break with him before leaving. Muguk knows this cursed old man wouldn't have just left. As the young master walks over, the old man notices the sword and immediately understands what it means. Muguk expresses how the summer feels hotter than usual and sits down beside him. Out of a sudden, the cursed old man screams at the top of his lungs, cursing at Muguk, saying how dare he ambush his brother and kill him. He also wants to rip this young man limb from limb today and offer them at his brother's grave. Even mere inner aura spread through his anger, withering the flower around them. He emits such an intense aura toward Muguk without sparing any of his inner energy. Suddenly he stops and a wide smile appears on his face, telling him it is what he should have said. In kind, Muguk screams back, just as intense as the cursed old man cursing him, saying he is so old but has no maturity. He challenges, how dare someone like him destroy the order within the cult for his own personal desires? He also threatens the cursed old man. If he dares to do anything for that corrupt brother of his, Muguk promises he will chop up that body of his and pound it into dust. The instant he is done, Muguk immediately smiles and says that's how he will respond. This cursed old man is surprised by how much inner energy this young man has. He then laughs extremely loud, going through half of the inner yard. When he finishes, he wishes the young master has gone easy on him for this old man's sake. Muguk claims to try his best to finish things nicely and wants to end it by letting him step down. Guanyang truly did cross the line far too much. As far as it can be said, the line never ever existed to him. Muguk knows this cursed old man knew about the corruption to begin with, so he asks why did he leave it alone? Solemnly, he reveals his brother won't listen to him, and as of now, this cursed old man is not clear of any blame. When he hears his brother died, somehow, this cursed old man feels relieved and thinks to himself that now he would no longer stand in his way. Intently listening, Muguk cannot believe this cursed old man is being so honest about his relationship with his brother. A bit of surprise comes about when Muguk says he understands how this cursed old man feels. Because Muguk would probably feel the same if he heard his older brother died. He would relieve that he doesn't have to kill his brother with his own hand.